I'm here in Denver, mid-August 2024 for the ConnectWise Big IT Nation Evolve and Grow event. I'll be doing interviews this whole week with managed service providers that are here and with vendors and with ConnectWise staff and ConnectWise leadership. Hope to gain some insight on the happenings that are going on. Also great insight from the managed service providers. But the following interview will be from this event here in Denver. Thanks so much for listening.
Hi, I'm Joey Pinz. People ask me, how did I lose 130 pounds? The quick answer is always discipline. I started my business, wasn't paying attention to my health, was eating too much, drinking too much sweets. My daughter was born. Next thing I know, I'm pre-diabetic, I have hypertension. I knew something had to change. Discipline. I, like many of you, have faced many challenges in your career, in your family, in your life, in your faith. How did you attack them? How did you approach them? How did you solve them, hopefully? It all had to have some degree of discipline. I'm also asked, how did you found and start a tech business that lasted over 25 years? Discipline. I was committed to it, enjoyed technology, didn't enjoy some aspects of it, but knew it was necessary. Discipline. Our podcast mission, how do we use discipline to better ourselves and society? Join me, please, as I talk to interesting people and discuss how they use discipline in their family and their passion and their careers and how it helped them. Our podcast vision, growth through learning from others. Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. It'll be light and serious. Join us, please. Thank you for consideration. Peter Sorensen, thanks so much for your time. Really great seeing you.
That's good to see you too.
We're here in Denver. It's August. It's Q3. We're here at Evolve and Grow. What's your goal this week at the big MSP event here, IT Nation?
Well, that's a great question. So I spend most of my time this week connecting with private equity-backed MSPs, and so spending 2 days with them, locked in a peer group room, and doing the same thing that every other MSP does at IT Nation Evolve and at Grow. Just talking through what are the challenges they face, how do we help them grow, hit the goals that they have. Most importantly, are they doing the same thing in their personal life and with their families? And if I can walk out knowing that they had those good conversations, we had a great week.
And what can some of those MSPs that are PE backed tell the MSPs that are not about it?
We talked about that this week actually. And one of the key messages I think that they would all share is we all have the same problems. We maybe have another zero on the end of ours, but we have the same problems. We're still trying to figure out how do we drive organic growth. We're still trying to figure out how do we retain employees. We're still trying to figure out how do we, it's all the same problems at the end of the day.
Isn't that something? Just on a larger scale?
Just on a different scale.
Wow. Is that comforting or not to some MSPs? I wonder.
I don't know. It's maybe frustrating because you hope there'd be a light at the end of the
tunnel. Right. Yeah, organic growth is keeps coming up. You can go through acquisition, you can go through organically, but organic just takes some muscle and takes some thought and
strategy.
Strategy.
I'd say we had some great conversations this week and talked about how your approach and go to market really needs to shape your strategy for how you try to drive organic growth. If you're more of a commodity, do business anywhere kind of a play, maybe online pay-per-clicks, maybe that stuff works great for you. If you're a high-end premium thing, maybe that doesn't work, and you need to have a really relational approach to the market. I mean, it's not a one-size-fits-all thing.
Wow. There's just the PE has just, I'm going to say validated, but it's just brought the MSP community just to such a different level, and and a lot of the MSPs, I still hear this, Pete, I'm not ready. And Arlen Sorensen always says, you can leave horizontally or vertically, you're going to exit your business.
That's right.
To those MSPs that are still kind of on the fence about whether to talk about it, your advice?
Know your number. Know your number. We spend a lot of time on legacy planning here, and at the end of the day, if you can teach yourself to think about your business as an asset, not as a job, not as something you're in love with, as an asset that gets you to where you can secure quality of life, the things that you want to accomplish from a legacy standpoint. It's the right thing to do to
Hmm.
take some risk off the table, secure that stuff. And then if you want to do it again, if you want to get into something else, you can. We see too many guys hang on too long, a cyber event or something, and get burned. We see too many people play the game of, oh, if I know it could be worth more if I hang on for
Hmm.
another year,
Hmm.
and
Hmm. Hmm.
you're taking so much risk. There's always more chances, but if you can secure what you're trying to secure from a legacy perspective, do it.
Hmm. And knowing your number takes reflection. It
It
takes
does.
pause. It takes, I
It,
mean, that's a
yeah,
critical.
planning.
Yeah.
Yep, takes a good estate attorney.
Yeah, state attorney as well. It's fascinating. Like in HTG, before it became Evolve, we always had legacy where we focused on one quarter.
Yeah,
And it was about that, knowing your number. But now this whole added element of private equity really kind of reshapes it a little bit because it's a reality
yeah,
now.
it is. Yeah, yeah. I'm seeing guys that are, they hit their number on their first exit, and then they can make the choice if they want to invest more, if
Right.
they want to stay on and, continue to grow themselves and be able to invest in their community and their teams and whatnot. That's a choice they can make.
Hmm.
But they're hitting their number as part of that first exit.
So how long since ConnectWise bought HTG? How long has it been, Pete?
January of 2018, so we're 6 years, 6.5 years now.
Wow. How has your life changed?
Uh, I, you know what? I think the number one thing I'd say is that it's opened up a lot of interesting opportunities for me.
Hmm.
I would have probably not worked with private equity companies if we hadn't done this path.
Interesting.
I would have not done a lot of things like that. Gotten into some of the strategic directions that we're trying to take with IT Nation. Um, is it better or worse? I don't know.
Right.
It's different, but it's good. It's caused me to
Hmm.
grow and challenged me in a lot of ways. So
Hmm. What have you learned about PE firms that we should know?
there's still people.
Yeah.
Relationships are still the core. Um, you know, they seem scary. They move fast. They throw around big numbers. They know they're smart people, brilliant people,
Right.
but they're still people.
Hmm.
And I think everybody just needs to understand that.
Because there's a kind of a I don't know what you want to call a stigma that they're driven by spreadsheets and there's no personality there. You found out that that's still the case, but there's still people there.
Yeah, yeah, they're still people. Yep.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
relationships, at the end of the day, relationships matter the most.
they do, don't they? Yeah. You have to be comfortable. You have to be comfortable with that. I know
Yeah,
when I made my exit, you know, I had that number, it was met, and then knowing that my clients are going to be taken over by these people made it all that much
yeah,
smoother.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Who was I talking to today? Was saying, I think it was Craig Fulton was saying like either when they exit, they either just want to get out or they want to transition,
Yep,
or there's one more, I forget which, or they want to just stay on forever, which is also, people
yeah,
kind of think that they have to leave.
right.
Not the
And they've
case.
got options. And that's, I tell you what, that's another thing we've learned about private equity is you have options and you have to ask.
Right.
You can't get what you don't ask for.
Hmm.
And there are more options there, especially for founders. Founder DNA is super valuable. Don't underestimate the value of that if you want to stay on or if there's certain things you want to do.
I was talking to an MSP today, and they're like, "Well, I don't want to look at PE because I'm afraid I'm going to travel more." I said, "Well, just tell them that's a stipulation.
Yeah,
Just tell them you don't want to do that." Yeah, but what they're telling me to do this, and but did you say you don't? I
yeah,
mean, it doesn't hurt to ask.
yeah. Don't start with the assumption that the rules are set.
Right, right. Now, Pete, do I have this wrong? You're like a Five Sigma.
Yeah, Six Sigma.
Explain
Yep,
that to me. Yes.
Lean Six Sigma Master Black Belt in a former life.
A Six Sigma black belt.
Yep.
Tell me what that is, please.
Yeah, so Six Sigma was a methodology that was developed, and there's been a number of companies that have had a hand in it. Motorola, GE, DuPont was kind of the third wave, and that's where I was trained. It's all about removing variability out of systems and results.
Hmm.
And so looking at a process and being able to make that process produce the same result every time,
Wow.
or a product have the same product quality every time.
Standard operating procedure.
Yep. Yep.
And do you live your life that way? You a process guy?
I have the ability to be. I may not have that DNA, but I have the ability to play it.
Interesting. And so when you're getting taught this, you're given a procedure and you're asked how to optimize it.
Yeah, really you're given a way of thinking and a new set of glasses to see the world.
Interesting. And it applies everywhere.
It does. In fact, I think, interestingly, I think it's going to be coming back strongly in this whole new hyper automation RPA trend that's going to hit the industry here is hitting. Automation is great, but automating a wasteful, horrible process is not good. So we've got to have the ability to have good, high quality standard processes first, and then use the tools that we have with hyper automation to make them even more effective.
To optimize them. Yeah, just iterate, repeat, right?
Yep.
It seems, and so many MSPs can learn from that. There's so many, there's so many procedures that can be repeatable and it could be,
Yeah.
and there's so many tools available that can process that, and
Yep.
maybe too many.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And have you brought that onto what you're doing now, that processing, the optimization?
Well, at the end of the day, when you do that long enough, it just becomes
It just
part of
becomes
how you
natural.
see the world and how you
Yeah.
think. So yeah, it does stick around and does impact some of the things we're doing.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
And your message to MSPs this week is what?
This week in particular,
Yeah.
it's update your life plan. That's the core message. We do a good job every quarter of focusing on the business things, but this quarter is about update your life plan and make sure that you're living intentionally, um, not just letting that happen to you.
It's one of the greatest thing. I keep slipping back and calling it HTG, but one of the great thing about Evolve is that those 4 plans, right? So
Yeah.
there's, what are they? Are they still in
So
this
it's
quarters?
business plan,
Business.
then we've got a leadership plan. How are you leading your team and yourself personally towards success in the business plan? We've got a legacy plan, which is both personal and
Professional.
business,
Yeah.
and then a life plan, which is basically the business plan for your life.
What can MSPs do to be better partners to some of the vendors and to ConnectWise that are here?
That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
I tell you what, one of the number one things that I hear is follow through is a big opportunity. Uh, we get a lot of commitments made, right or wrong, I don't know if you could say, but a lot of commitments made where there's no follow through. Again, this is a relational industry. It's about people. So it's better to not make the commitment if you can't hold it up. Just communicate openly and fairly and play well together.
That's one of the best things about the peer group speed is the accountability.
Yeah. Yeah.
So follow through is there. What should vendors do to be better partners to MSPs?
Vendors are full of knowledge about so many things that they take for granted every day. And MSPs desperately need that. I think there's always going to be opportunity for vendors to bring that knowledge in and just openly share it, help them grow their businesses. Too often they default to, I have to sell something. That will come. The sales always come when you bring value. So start with that.
All too often, yeah, it's there, and the mentality of the MSP and the relationship with their clients. Sometimes vendors say things to me like, "Oh, I want to talk to the MSP's clients," and like they're none of your business. And I wonder, probably the M&A firms don't share that because they're not actually selling a service or a product. They're actually that relationship is going to be very different than any other vendor for an M&A.
It is, but
Yeah.
they want to know that relationship's secure and of high value. They very much look at things like net promoter score and retention rates, and part of the way they value a potential acquisition is how strong are your relationships with your clients.
Right.
So
Important, isn't it?
it
And
is
how long have they been there? And
exactly.
some of the things that you just, of course, what percentage of what percentage of clients is your part of your revenue, but it's just not all finance with them. They want to know relationships. They want to know you have good contracts. They want to make sure you have good technicians, etc.
Yep, high quality people. They want to know that you and your leadership team have the desire to invest in growing a company like that. That it's part of plan that you have and you want to be part of. if you don't have that in your gut and the energy level to do it, you're not going to be able to pull it off over
Hmm.
the course of 4 or 5 years.
Now, when MSPs, I see this happening a lot, some consolidation.
Sure.
2, 3 million MSPs merge P&Ls, and then now could they use the advice and help of an M&A firm just to do that to themselves?
Sure.
I-
Absolutely.
That's very interesting. I didn't consider that
Yeah.
because who knows down the road they may be more appetizing to that M&A firm.
Yeah, from a size, from an EBITDA perspective,
Mm,
from a lot of different areas they are, as long as they integrate well.
right.
That's maybe the one area that they bring things together, but if they still manage it honestly as two separate businesses,
Mm.
there's that's actually harder than if they really integrate well. If they go that step, they absolutely have more value.
Now, tomorrow is the big Grow event. So, Grow is a new IT Nation property.
It is, yeah.
I think this is the third
I think
meeting.
you're right. Yep.
Yeah. And the goal there is to.
Help partners realize they have to focus on transition and they need to start that focus sooner than later. Most of them aren't ready when it's time. Um, it's not just about M&A. There's lots of ways to transition a business.
Right.
M&A is the popular one. That's the one that gets all the attention. But it's really about being ready for whatever that transition is and spending the time. And the time is likely several years
Mm.
to get ready and to be in that position and do it right so that when the opportunity comes, you can take advantage of it.
And there's a lot more buyers than sellers now.
It seems that way.
Yeah, but it's not.
I what I think I see is sellers are a little more shy to say, "Hey, I'm a seller."
Ah.
Buyers are all out there want to
Right.
be known who they
Right.
are, right?
Right.
But
Right. With sellers like,
sellers aren't quite so sure they want to be that forward.
interesting. So you think it's more even?
I think there's more sellers out there than that would admit to it, and some
Mm.
of that probably just comes down to I'm a seller in the right circumstance, and I don't know
Mm.
what the circumstance is.
Yeah, because MSP, they got to be careful. If if they put themselves in the block, what if the MSP employees find out? What if their
Right?
vendors find out? So it's like something they want to keep it close to the
Keep
vest.
it confidential.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. That's always awkward. That you have to be really careful with that because
Yeah.
if employees start hearing, then oh my goodness, you never know what might happen. Or customers, or
Yep.
yeah. So it's that awkward line, isn't it?
Yeah. It's there's risk there, but there's
Yeah.
ways to do it. There's ways to have those conversations without taking on too much risk.
Mm. And it's just not PE firms. We have kind of these master MSPs that are trying to build their platform up, and
Sure.
but they're usually PE backed. Maybe some aren't as well, but
We've got some still big privately held MSPs in the
mm,
group. There's a lot of different models out there.
wow,
Even in the PE world, there's a lot of different
that's a
ways
good
that they
point.
do things.
Yeah, yeah. It's really interesting where it's going, and it's exciting.
It is.
It's
It
exciting
is.
that PE has validated this. You see Jay McBain pouring out these billions of dollars and, talking about it that are in we never had, it was probably there, but we never knew about it.
Right.
There wasn't all this talk when I sold in 2019.
Right.
So, but, I started the MSP back in the 90s and was working way too hard. You know the story, I believe, and before you know it, I wasn't exercising. I got myself up to 340 pounds, and the doctor said to me, if I don't lose the weight, I'm not going to see my daughter graduate. My daughter was just born, so spent the next 6, 7 months and lost 130 pounds, kept it off, and people want a quick answer,
Yeah.
especially with the. So I say discipline. That's how I lost. I got willpower, some structure, some order.
Yeah.
How does discipline play a role in your life, Pete Sorensen?
I tell you what, I that's actually something I think about regularly, and I've got some guys around me that Arlen being one of them that have an incredible level of discipline that
Mm,
I at least I think I aspire to have at some point. But right now, how's it play in my life?
yeah.
I've got to pick where I have to be
Right.
disciplined because I can't be disciplined everywhere all the time.
Nobody can.
But
Yeah.
it comes back to planning. What am I trying to accomplish, and then can I get disciplined on those two or three things that really matter right now?
Mm,
And I have to let some other things go
right.
because of that.
Just naturally.
I have to.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't do it all.
Yep.
I've been out to the farm before. Are you still having events there?
We do. Yeah, we have folks out to the farm all the time, and you're welcome to come back
Oh,
at
it's
any time.
wonderful. Yeah. So it's nice to kind of get out to see how that works, and that whole story is absolutely wonderful. Pete, thanks so much for your time today. I
thank
know
you.
we've been going back and forth. I really appreciate it. Enjoy the show. Have a great show.
Yeah, thank you. Good to
Thank
see
you. Thank you for listening and or viewing Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. Please share this episode with one or two of your friends who you think may benefit from the episode. Our website, www.joeypins.com. There you'll find lots of resources and you could join our mailing list. Please follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Podcast information, the video version of our podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe. Audio is on all major podcasting platforms. Please follow them. And if you like it, please consider giving 5-star rating. Would really appreciate that. Thank you again for listening or watching Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations.